Hello everyone, welcome back to a very special video. I'm DTM as always, and we have with us the September 2023 refines and updates, and this is super hyped because we have with us the CYL5 refines, and oh my goodness, I'm so excited. So yeah, let us begin. Before we get into that though, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help support our channel. Only takes 5 seconds to subscribe, but truly does help the channel a lot, and I really do appreciate all the constant support. And yeah, thank you so much to Phoenix Master 1, as always, for the graphics. It helps really much. And yeah, let's get started with the one and only Gatekeeper. Now, I think everyone who watches me know my opinions on Gatekeeper's place in the meta. I never thought he was particularly that good. But let's see what his refine does. Grants plus defense plus 3, grants attack speed plus 5 to allies within 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit during their combat. The following effects will occur during unit's combat based on the number of allies within 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit. If greater than or equal to 1, unit inflicts attack res minus X on foe, X being the number of allies in the area times 3 max 9. If greater than or equal to 2, inflicts special cooldown charge minus 1 on foe per attack. That's guard. And if greater than or equal to 3, foe cannot make a follow-up attack. And then this is just saying that structures are a part of this. So when you compare this to his base weapon effect, you can see here that the max increased to 9, and it now multiplies by 3 instead of 2 to, I guess, fit with that. And we have the guard effect in between the 1 and 3 ally condition here. But other than that, the base effect remains the same. The refine effect is as follows. Grants defense res plus 5 to unit within 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit during their combat, and restores 7 HP to those allies after their combat. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, inflicts attack res minus 6 on foe, and reduces damage from foe's attack by 20% of unit's defense during combat, and also restores 7 HP to unit after combat. Okay, so we can see here that combined with his attack speed plus 5 to allies, he's able to grant Omni plus 5 to allies within 3 rows or 3 columns, which makes him similar to, say, like Brave Lucina or Male Corrin in terms of like that stat support, but he also gives this healing support similar to Saline, which is really nice. He gets further daunt effects, and he get flat damage reduction, and he has an HP restoring there as well. So all in all, these are pretty nice support options. In something like Summoner's Duels though, I'm a bit skeptical of whether or not he'll be able to become meta or become a staple, mainly because, one, this does absolutely nothing for his damage, right? Like, one of the big problems of Gatekeeper is that his B slot is taken, and therefore you cannot run things like Special Spiral 4 or Magic No Follow-Up, meaning getting through damage reduction is a huge problem. And also, because his B slot is like open, he doesn't really have any other forms of damage reduction. He can't run like NCD or Guard 4 or anything like that. So he's really relying on these daunt effects and the flat damage reduction to be able to make this flat damage reduction actually mean anything. Because a big reason why flat damage reduction is really good is that you can combine it with like regular damage reduction. And because flat damage reduction happens after regular damage reduction, it has a lot of value that way in just reducing the amount of damage you take. And because Gatekeeper doesn't have that, I'm a bit more skeptical on that, especially because he's green, because we do have very powerful red nukes. And at least in SD, the healing part of this refine doesn't really do much, right? Like, you don't see Salines or Guinevere's that often. But in something like Aetherite's offense, I think if you make him as like a Omni-tank healer support like Saline, he can definitely have a place there for a unit like Lucia. Which makes it kind of funny because then the anti-warp aspect of his like entire kit sort of just becomes like a nice extra instead of like what defines him. But it is definitely something that I think he can perform really well. But honestly, overall, I'd say this is a very, very tame like weapon refine. He does get a bit more defensive, but I think we will definitely need to test this out before we can really say anything, because if he isn't tanky enough to be able to tank a lot of the hits, then again, he's not offensive anyway, so he's back to his original position of only providing the anti-warp, and so he becomes a lesser Myrrh still. So again, we need to test this in order to make sure he's actually tanky enough. Personally, I'm a bit skeptical but it remains to be seen. And if he can like be like a decoy unit similar to Summer Emir, I think he can have a place that way. But again, that's a big if. So overall, I personally say this is relatively tame. I don't think this really changes that much about Gatekeeper's like viability. So yeah. And next we have is Brave Eirika with Binding Reagan Leaf. Accelerate special trigger, effective against armored and cavalry foes. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants all stats +5 to unit, reduces damage from foes' first attack by 40%, and neutralizes effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks during combat. So as you can see, the damage reduction does get increased from 30% to 40%, but I believe that is it. So yeah. The Refine effect is, if unit initiates combat orders within 2 spaces of an ally, grants all stats +5 to unit, inflicts attack speed defense -X on foe, X being 5 plus number of bonus effects active on foe, maximum of 9, neutralizes foes' bonuses to attack speed defense, and neutralizes effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks during combat. So with this Refine effect, Eirika gets full NFU now, instead of just the offensive half of NFU. She gets more stats, and more like stat deflections based on the number of bonuses she has. And she neutralizes foes' bonuses, which does definitely help out with her damage capabilities. But the main thing that Brave Eirika really struggles with is being able to cut through damage reduction. And this is a very similar problem to a lot of the melee cast has right now. Unless you're using like Legendary Alir, most tanks that run damage reduction, won't really care about this. And the fact that Eirika does not have a good way to cut through that is a cause for concern, especially because we do have an alternative to speed-based damage reduction now in terms of Gambit. If you run this, like, say, versus Lucia, it's going to be very hard to cut through that. Now, this does make it more able to have Eirika double, but again, like, I don't think this fixes her major flaw, right? Brave Eirika's biggest flaw is the fact that she can't get through damage reduction, and this doesn't help with that. And so, personally, I'm a little bit disappointed, not gonna lie with this. But yeah, other than that, we do have Brave Marth with Genesis Falchion, accelerate special trigger, effective against dragon foes. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 space of an ally, grants all stats +5 to unit during combat, and grants effects to unit based on the total value of bonuses on the 3 allies with the highest bonus totals, excluding unit. If greater than or equal to 10, neutralizes effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and effects that prevent units follow-up attacks, and effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. If greater than or equal to 25, grants an additional attack +5 to unit during combat, and also if unit deals damage to foe during combat, restores 7 HP to unit. And if greater than or equal to 60 and foe initiates combat, unit can counterattack before foe's first attack. So we can see here that he basically just gains the tempo effect, right? And a little bit extra healing here. But other than that, like, I think everything else remains the same. Yeah. So not too much change in the base effects besides the tempo. The Refine effect is, at start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants all stats +X to unit, X being 5 plus the highest bonus on each stat between units and allies within 2 spaces of a unit, calculates each stat bonus independently, and reduces damage from foes' first attack by 40%. And this includes Braves. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I don't think this really does much for Marth. Like, the tempo, sure, but most of the time you'll want to run like the Special Spiral 4 Vantage build from Brave Marth, which means this tempo is pretty much useless with like Shining Emblem and stuff. The healing is nice, obviously, but it's just too extra. Again, the damage reduction, ideally you shouldn't be taking damage, right? Because you are trying to Vantage with the Special Spiral 4 Shining Emblem build. But I guess this could be a good way to like get Shining Emblem pre-charged or something. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this. I don't think it does enough for Brave Marth, especially since when you consider that we have a lot of ways to cut through damage reduction these days. And then more stats is obviously very nice, but I don't think it's enough. Like what does Marth even have? What is this? I still think like he can be a competent Omni tank because, let's be real, Brave Marth is kind of slept on as like a Vantage tank. especially with a Special Spiral 4 build. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of God Swords like Brave Marth, I do think he can still perform. But yeah, I don't think this is really much of an upgrade, if I'm going to be completely honest. Alright, next we have is Brave Marianne, and Brave Marianne has Phantasm's Tome Refine, accelerates special trigger, grants speed +3, if unit initiates combat or foes HP is greater than or equal to 50% at start combat, inflicts speed res -6 on foe, neutralizes foes bonuses to speed res, and reduces damage from foes first attack by X% during combat. If unit initiates combat, X equals 80, otherwise X equals 30. So you can see compared this to the base effect is that she has Slaying, which is actually really, really good because this obviously helps you more consistently proc Requiem Dance. You also get like the damage reduction, it increases to 80, and if you don't initiate combat, you still get the damage reduction even if it's 30. So those are really nice buffs. The Refine effect is, at start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants all stats +5 to unit, deals damage equals to 20% of unit's speed, including AoEs, reduces the percentage of foes non-special, reduces damage by X% skills by 50%, and neutralizes effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. Oh my gosh, this is like actually insane. Not only does she get Slaying, but she also gets Tempo, which means with her included Times Pulse, Requiem Dance will be at 1 cooldown. And because you have Tempo, Guard won't be an issue. So all she has to do is attack 1 time, and she'll be able to proc Requiem Dance, which is absolutely insane. Like, the biggest problem with Brave Marianne is not her gravity effect or her damage or anything like that, like a lot of people say. The biggest problem with Brave Marianne is her consistency to be able to proc Requiem Dance. Well, now Requiem Dance will basically always be able to be procced because there's literally nothing stopping it from being able to. And not only that, like she gets a bunch of extras, like the extra true damage, the damage reduction halving effect. Like, Brave Marianne basically got everything that she wanted and more. And I personally considered like Brave Marianne still like the best CYL 5 unit before this refine, like right before. But now like this is like far and above, like better than any of the other past CYL 5 refines. Like, oh my goodness. I know there are a lot of people that are still complaining about Requiem's Dance gravity effect, mainly from people that don't know what they're doing with Gale Force. But let me tell you, like, Requiem's Dance gravity effect is such a non-issue in an actual Gale Force clear. Like, if you actually do Gale Force, you'll understand, like, it doesn't matter at all whether or not, like, that unit she dances has gravity or not. Like, it's such a non-issue. So yeah, Brave Marianne definitely got everything she wanted and even more. Again, I didn't consider her damage to be an issue, but the fact that she gets more damage obviously really helps. And yeah, technically I guess you can also run like a flare build too, if you really wanted to, but I think Requiem Dance is where she shines. She is among like the best 2-for-1 refreshers by far. Alright, next we have is Hel's Reaper from Hel's Refine. Accelerates special trigger, neutralizes effective against flying bonuses if foe does not use magic or staff, calculates damage using foe's res, and also if... Okay, this is just a miracle effect. If foe initiates combat or foe's HP is greater than or equal to 50% at start of combat, grants all stats +4 to unit during combat, and restores 7 HP to unit after combat. So you can compare this to her base, like, originally, she only had the miracle effect, right? So from here, you get like more upgrades. I mean, I guess technically you also get like the force foe res check as well. But yeah, everything after that is basically new. So you get all stats +4, and you get HP restoration, which is really nice. The Refine effect is, at start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25% or penalty is active on foe, grants all stats +4 to unit, deals damage equals to 20% of unit speed, and reduces damage from foe's first attack by 40% during combat. Now obviously Hel does have a remix as well. The remix is Inevitable Death 4, which is for each foe within 4 spaces of unit can move to any of the nearest spaces adjacent to that foe. unless that is impassable terrain. Inflicts all stats -5 on foe within 2 spaces during combat. And then you have speed base and FU. And yeah, I forgot what Hel's Inevitable Death is. Yeah, Hel's Inevitable Death was just all stats -4. So obviously this is a really big upgrade, but I don't know. I don't think this is enough. Like, if you really think about it, having like HP conditions while having distant pressure is kind of weird. I don't think this really helps as her as like a defense mythic, really, because basically with her remix skill, you want to like warp in and then like probably take out a unit, act like a wand beacon or something like that, I guess. But the healing obviously is anti-synergistic with that, including like the damage reduction portion as well. And like as a frontline, like with that skill, I feel like you can break the formation of something like your Catchy Ball very, very easily. So yeah, honestly, I'm not really feeling it when it comes to this Refine, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, not really feeling it. Okay, next we have is Mirabilis. And Mirabilis is interesting because she's a mythic dancer on defense. Her Refine is, well, base effect is grants res +3 if penalty is active on any foes within 3 columns centered on unit, inflicts attack defense res -4 on those foes during combat. At start of combat, if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% or penalty is active on foe, inflicts attack defense -5 on foe during combat. This second portion here is just for her, and as you can see here, basically that additional thing is what she has. This becomes from -3 to -4, and she gains her own stat deflections. The Refine effect is, at start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, inflicts attack defense -5 on foe, and unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack during combat, and also after combat if units attack, inflicts status on foes within 3 columns centered on unit, preventing counterattacks through their next actions. She also comes with a Refine effect, as we know. Whimsical Dream, which obviously dances, grants attack +6 and foe bonus neutralization to target ally and ally within 2 spaces, and then inflicts attack -6 on the nearest foes within 5 spaces, and then allies within 2 spaces of that. So yeah, this is a relatively tame Refine, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like, if this flash effect didn't require Mirabilis to attack, I think this would be really good. But in general, you do not want Mirabilis to attack, right? She's a dancer. One of the best things about Mirabilis is that she's a melee flying dancer, which means she is not easily baited as much as, say, someone like Triandra. So you don't want Mirabilis to be like getting into combat. So a lot of this Refine effect is honestly pretty useless, right? Like, I guess if you're like Gale Forcing and leave Mirabilis as like the last unit, she can do some work. But like still, I don't think this really does much. It's relatively tame. Like, to be fair, Mirabilis will still be like a very powerful anima defense mythic just by virtue of being like a dancer and a melee dancer at that. So I don't think she really needed much, but yeah, it's kind of underwhelming, honestly. And then last but certainly not least, we do have Itsuki. Effective against dragon foes, grants defense +3. If unit initiates combat, grants all stats +X to unit during combat. X being 4 plus number of allies who have already acted ×3 max 10. If foe initiates combat, grants all stats +X to unit during combat. X equals 10 minus the number of foes who have already acted ×3 min 4. Restore 7 HP to unit after combat. So yeah, compare this to his base. Basically, all the numbers got bumped up compared to his original Mirage Falcon, right? Like, max value of 7 becomes max value of 10, and then this becomes the starting position went from 7 to 10. And you also get the healing. The Refine effect is, if unit initiates combat or is within 2 space of an ally, grants all stats +4 to unit during 2 unit. Unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack and reduces damage from foes first attack by 30% during combat. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think this will make Itsuki good. Like, Red Sword infantries are so popular, even for like Grail Red Sword infantries. Like, I don't think this cuts it, right? Like, yeah. So yeah, honestly, overall, pretty underwhelming batch, if I do have to say. Like, I think the only Refine that like really stood out to me is Brave Marianne. Like Brave Marianne basically got everything she wanted and more, and everything else is pretty mediocre. Even like my second considered like refine, that being Gatekeeper, I still am very skeptical about. Again, we'll need to test things out to see how it works in practice, but personally I am a bit skeptical. We'll see. But yeah, like other than Marianne, like I think this is pretty underwhelming, honestly. Yeah. So yeah, where would I put these refines? Brave Marianne is definitely at the top of the top. Like, honestly, I'd probably even consider moving her to S tier, if I do say so myself. But I do know, like, Gale Force is not the most popular option, and we do have other options for, like, 2-for-1 Gale Forcers. 2-for-1 like refreshers for Gale Force now, like Legendary Ninian, the Dual Dancers, of course. But honestly, I'd say, I'm gonna put Brave Marianne in S. Like, she got everything she wanted and more. All right, like she doesn't require a dual skill, so you don't have to worry about dual hindrance structures. And yeah, like, you know, I'm gonna put there. Like, it's either high A or low S, but I'm gonna indulge myself. Next, we'll have Gatekeeper and Marianne in B. Like, as I mentioned before, like Gatekeeper's anti-warping effect is still useful, but if that is still all that he can do, he's still not going to be like that staple or that meta. And I don't know if his refine will allow him to do much more. So I'm going to put him in B for now. Same with Eirika. Like, yeah, you can still use her with a Kanto, and the buffs to her stats are nice, but it doesn't really fix what her main issue is, which is the inability to get through damage reduction. Marth, I'm actually going to drop because, like, yeah. And Mirabilis, like, if we're still considering, like, Mirabilis as a unit herself, like, I think she's still, like, A, maybe even S, but her refine doesn't do anything at all. So I think I'll put it in C. And then Itsuki and Hel's are, like, not good at all. They're still usable. They're not FE tier, but, like, yeah. Honestly, I'd probably move Mirabilis A. Like, again, Mirabilis is still, like, among the best, like, anima mythics, but it's just that the refine doesn't really do much, right? Yeah. So yeah, C refine, still an A unit. That's where I guess I would say. But yeah, that was not everything we have. Of course, we also do have the stats of the U banner. As we can see, Claude is very speedy and very offensive. 47 speed, matching legendary Alear there. Kagero has more attack than more speed, but still very offensive stat line, to be expected. Dagger, also offensive stat line, again, to be expected. Very creative here. Katria, as like a D-mode bow, I guess has a pretty decent stat line, but as a D-mode bow, she unfortunately doesn't really matter. And then Fuga, yeah, awkward speed, honestly, but workable defenses and pretty good attack. Thank you, Mr. Gengar and Tsukasa, as always, for the data mine here. And yeah, we also have the art for Fuga, who looks really, really good. Like, look at this. Look at this. This is great. We also have the inheritance restrictions. Catch 3 is 4-star. Trace is 5-star locked. This one's 5-star locked. Heavy Blade is still 5-star locked. And then, yeah. Prime, interestingly enough, is not range locked. Instead, it is like a physical locked. So like sword, lance, like axe units, like Lucia, all your infantry omni tanks, they can use this. So yeah, this is, if you can meet the bonus conditions, this is just a strict upgrade to Distant AS Solo. Now, it is important that you are able to meet the bonus thresholds. One thing to keep in mind is that in something like Summoner's Duels, Summer Thor can just immediately get rid of all those bonuses. So I don't think this will be that useful in something like Summoner's Duels, but in something like Aether Raid's offense, where say in Light Season you have like Asker, who provides 2 bonuses, you can have Peony with the No Panic and the Orders, that is already 4 bonuses. Like, you should be able to consistently be able to meet this bonus check. And yeah, this is just super good for Omni tanks, especially in light season. Astro season is a bit more tricky, but I'm sure you'll be able to like stack bonuses there as well. Again, it is very important that you are able to meet the bonus threshold, because otherwise, like, you might find yourself not counter attacking the units you want. So be sure to keep that in mind. Disarm trap, as expected, is only for daggers, and yeah, very interesting indeed. Okay, I believe we're going to get into spoiler territories for the next Tempest trials, so if you're concerned about spoilers, do skip ahead to the next section. But yeah, starting now, we do have rearmed Plumeria confirmed, and oh my goodness, look at this art. I love like the blue thorns just like going down here. That's really good. And I also like the little like, I don't know, batwing thingies right here. That looks so good. Like Plumeria here looks really good. I really like it. And especially this like art here, like the darkness and everything. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait. But yeah, we do know the arcane weapon is going to be Arcane Euphoria. This is the enemy stats. We'll see if she gets a perf once she's actually in the game or not. But the blue tome will be Accelerate Special Trigger. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater equal to 25%, grants all stats plus 5 to unit. Unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. Deals damage equals to 15% of unit's attack, including AoEs, and reduces damage from foes' first attack by 30% during combat. Yeah, attack-based true damage is kind of painful since I really wanted this for Spring Lucina, and obviously, Spring Lucina does not have the greatest attack stat. It's over. No. Oh, gosh. It's over. Alright. And I mean, it's still a pretty nice tome, but yeah. That kind of stings a little. At least I'm not like Odin or anything. But yeah, I think that does it for the update. So yeah, obviously pretty underwhelming Refine batch, if I have to be honest. Again, I do think Marianne is by far the standout. We'll have to see if Gatekeeper is tanky enough to be able to actually be usable in any sort of way in SD. But yeah, overall, yeah, very underwhelming, actually, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, I want to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these refines. Which ones are your favorite? And yeah, if you do enjoy the content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help support the channel. Only takes 5 seconds to subscribe, but it truly does help the channel a lot. And I really do appreciate all the constant support. And yeah, hope you all have an amazing rest of the day. Hope these refines get better in the future. And see you all next time. Bye, everyone.